Okay, put in.
Too bad. I'd like to try it.
Yeah.
They're good.
They are.
My favorite ones is, have you tried the English topping ones?
No.
And then they have
Charlotte.
You like key lime pie?
I heard, someone told me about that.
Key lime pie tastes just like key lime pie.
Hey, Charlotte, how are you, honey?
Sounds familiar.
But the English topping.
How about Oreo?
Danny,
Hey, Charlotte, how you doing, honey?
I'm very, very good. How are you?
Good. That Mitch just called me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I told him to come on. He asked how you were doing. I said, she'll be on tonight. Come and join us.
Oh, cool.
Uh.
What? I thought he got married and had a baby.
He got a baby. I don't know if he's married, but I'm trying to figure out how to do
Still
this
in
here.
Florida?
Yeah, he's in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
My daughter had a baby.
Yeah, I
told you
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. You know that. Yep, I delivered him. It was
Hey,
awesome.
yeah. How are you, honey? I don't know how to get them. Hey, tonight we're gonna do some things, so if you could just move the computer to follow
Yeah.
me.
Watch the cord.
My yard is bare. I've got a pile.
Oh, are you doing the chair?
Yeah.
I got one, 10 foot
It's
high.
amazing. Last year, that one guy with 20 years. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's not all. But I've got a half acre of woods too. And the animals down there.
It's your house?
I got trees in the creek. And I got no idea.
All right. Oh, that's the one. Okay. Save the best for last.
Looking away at it. Hang on.
Oh, okay. All
No,
right.
it wasn't bad at all. Like,
Yeah.
How long have you lived there? 9
Really?
Go for it. And then next week.
Oh.
Good, aren't they?
Amazing. That's literally. They are
It's
good.
like walking in every world.
Is that how it feels?
I do have.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
From the western side.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What's up, Willie?
Well, good.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. Well, that's good sport, I can say. In Germany. Yeah, I sure did. Right. Now, where did he go?
And I couldn't walk. And then if I would have hear governor, paper.
Where do you live?
We're upstairs. And,
Okay, that's right.
Back up, so I can pass. This was like right here.
And Camelot, all of Camelot.
I'm old, so I know too many people that had it.
Gerald?
Yeah, and they didn't have to.
Taylor Campbell. Yeah, yeah. Sure.
Food.
I'm really talking about.
Why?
Oh, they're good.
No.
Yeah.
You know what they remind me of?
30.
They remind me of that shitty ass baby aspirin that your mom used to give you as a kid. Right before the enema.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, put this in your mouth. Never again, Cheryl. Never again. I usually like
Oh, yeah.
I like orange stuff. I don't. It's the cream that all that cream soda and all that stuff.
Do you, Desmond? Good.
Oh, really? Which one? There, there. Oh, that's always. Really? Not really nice. All right.
Why can't I see who's on here?
Coming up here tonight. I have waited
I was thinking about it on the way here. That's all. Yeah.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Danny. Good evening.
Good evening. So how do you see who's on here? Oh, okay. I'm on here. You're on here.
Yep, that's all that matters. Really.
That's right.
Really.
I love it. I love it.
Eric,
What's up, Jeff?
One of the guys who goes this morning.
Robin, you still driving?
Yes, sir. They want to just push together.
Haven't seen you at the place.
Oh, no, I don't stay by campus that much unless I just kind of get up there. I live in college. But I do some, a little earlier. You know how they get there. You're done. Right around 8:30.
Anytime you need to come to my place, come pull in the back, come in the back. Somebody says, what are you doing? Say, "Dan, check." So I'm not there at nighttime a lot.
They haven't sent me any from you recently.
I don't.
I've been hanging out over by Charleston.
Do you want this to show?
Yeah,
Would you rather have it like that?
yeah, no, I like to see that. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Danny, how you doing this evening?
All right, buddy. You find that page 93?
Who, me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it right here.
All right. Yes, I'm gonna go from here to there to here. Kind of move it. Last year I would go out of the camera, you don't see me.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody else. Right around that area.
so you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it out here? Well, if we move it like this,
But you gotta keep that.
Oh, you gotta move. Then you move the thing down. Just move this down so it can catch it.
no, the podium would be in the way. I guess it won't. Be right there.
What's up, bro? I know. How'd you feel? Yeah. Melissa got this marijuana shit that she gave me. I rubbed on my neck one night. That green stuff? Yeah. Don't help? Yeah, it smells like what you did.
I haven't tried it.
Totally smells like weed.
No, try it. Oh,
That's my paper copy.
okay.
And then I got
I got it. I found it online. I got it on my phone, but it's so small. I remember this one had a mistake in it.
it's at the very back. All I did was just took the word out and I took that line out and said you're the greatest man in the world. So here it is. That's it.
Oh, okay. Let me use this then. Shut my phone.
Going back to Bob Seger. He used to play at the high school. Back in He says they matter.
I'm like a little kid.
So they do it right. You block it.
Maybe when they said they were there. They were so bad.
Yeah, right. You know, they want. At least one for I gotta do it.
Oh, yeah. So that's not
That's what.
Right. All right, everybody. Let's get it. Grab a seat. Good evening. Okay. So, last week we finished the first step. I hope everybody understands the truth about themselves from that exercise. I hope it helped you. But something has to be done when in the first step where we need to fully concede to our innermost self. So that's a good exercise. And then we started on step 2 last week. And most of step 2 is about getting in touch with a higher power. Talking about God. And you know, what is it that you think and believe about God? That's what you need to question. That's what we need to look at. That's what we need to come in touch with in this step. Because in the next step, in the third step, is asking us to turn our will and our lives over to the care of this higher power, right? Well, how can you possibly turn your will and your life over to something that you have no understanding of, right? So the work here is important. These two, the first step and the second step, is 2 foundation steps. And so I always question them and talk about ourselves a little bit. And I've got something I want to share with you here. This is a $100 bill. Now, it's not a brand new $100 bill. It's a little bit old, but the $100 bill. Who would like this bill? How many people would like to have this? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's real. Well, let me ask you this though. If I took this and I wrinkled it all up, who still wants it? Okay. How about if I took it and I threw it on the floor and I stepped on it and I stomped on it and I rubbed it all over the floor? Who still wants this? Sure you want it, because it never loses its value. Its value is there. It's still a $100 bill. It's old, it's been crinkled up, it's been beat up, it's been stepped on, it's been stomped on, it's been grounded into this, but it still has value. And so do you. Even though you've been stepped on and you're getting old and you've been grounded and wrinkled up and crinkled up and abused, you still have value. And that's what I want to talk about today. We're on page 45 in the book, and on page 45 it says we're going to talk about God. So you're not going to need your book too much today, because we're going to talk about God. But I just want to let you know that the book says we're going to talk about God. So we're going to talk about God, because we need to have some type, and let's not waste time bullshitting with each other that we're talking about a God here, talking about a supreme being. We already, last week, we already discussed that, you know, how stupid it is to talk about a doorknob being power greater than ourselves and that kind of stuff. So we need to get in touch with some type of God, okay? Some type of higher power, whatever you choose to call that higher power. But it needs to be, remember 2 things. It needs to be a power greater than us, and it needs to make sense to you. And if a doorknob makes sense to you, we need to talk. Okay? Because that ain't gonna cut it. So how difficult is it for you to believe in something that common sense says isn't so? It's difficult, right? So like, you know, like these real smart guys, these that claim to be atheists. There was that guy in the wheelchair. What's his name? Stephen Dawkins, I think. Hawkins. Brilliant guy, right? Giant IQ. But what he pushes, what they all push is the same thing that doesn't make common sense. That everything came from nothing. There was nothing, and then nothing exploded and made everything. That doesn't have much sense, makes much sense, does it? Nothing made everything? I don't know. So, but your journey is to find out the God that you understand. But it's difficult to believe in things that common sense tell you isn't so. For instance, let's say I took this chair and I took Robin and I put her in this chair, and then I took you two guys in the back, Jerry and you. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Ashley. Jerry, Ashley, you two guys in the back. And I told you to come up here and using just two fingers, lifting Robin and the whole chair completely off the floor. How many people think that they could do that? You think they could do that? Okay. Anybody else think they could do that? How many people don't think they can do that? Yeah, the four of you using two fingers each, lift the chair and Robin off of the floor. So all of these back here, all these people back here don't think so, right? I'll tell you what we'll do then. Come on, Robin. Come sit up here. You two guys come up here. Jerry and Ashley. And sit here. And here's what I want to do.
Okay.
I want.
Bring her back.
Oh, Robin, get up a minute. Back. Maybe if you took it off of those things and just put the table away. Go ahead. I want you guys, everybody here, all in that other room. Just leave us for a minute. All you guys. All you non-believers. No peeking.
Yeah.
No, I want you to go too. Did you say you think they can? You said, Aaron, what'd you say? Okay. Now, the guys that are remaining, how many people think they can do that? Okay. You don't think so? If you go over there with them. Okay, here's what I want you to do, guys. Listen to me. I want you to take your hands and go like that. All right? Not you, Robin. And then put these two fingers out. And then put these two fingers up. And each of you are going to get an end of the right here. And you're going to put your fingers all the way underneath so the chair is resting on your fingers here. Okay? Go ahead and get that. And then when I count to three, you're going to lift up. Ready? Everybody got hold of it? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait, go from the back. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. That's good. Thank you. All right. You guys saw that, right? Yeah. You guys can come back. The first time she almost broke her neck, but well, what happened on the second try, they lifted Robin and the chair completely off the ground. And you guys only use two fingers, right? So now, how many people, you guys that were here, saw something? You guys didn't see it, but now how many people believe that they can do that? Okay. So now you guys that weren't here, what's up with that? You don't believe because you have to see it to believe it? Can't believe it unless you see it? So I'm standing here telling you that, and the four people that did it, you guys did it, right? They did it, right, Robin? You left the ground with the chair and everything? Okay, so there has to be a giant conspiracy. Before we started the meeting tonight, I had to go whisper in their ear and what to do and what to say. And then we have to be lying to you now that it didn't happen. So that's one choice. And the other choice is they did it. And some of you people that didn't raise your hand the first time thought they couldn't do it. Did anybody raise their hand now? Oh, you did, right? Okay. So, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've done this little exercise, and I've had people with 20 years and 25 years. Nope, I ain't gonna believe unless I see it. And I usually ask them, how do you believe in God? You don't really see God, do you? You see signs of God. So what makes more sense, that we're all lying to you, or that it really happened? So it's learning how to believe that we believe if you can't believe. Things that common sense tell you ain't so. When I took that $100 bill and I stepped on it and I ground it into the floor, you all still wanted that $100 bill because you all knew it still had value. Our belief systems, from being so beat up and so run down, that we come in here, we don't want to believe anything unless it's proven to me. And that's a tough place to live in. When we start talking about God and things like that, you have to be much more open-minded than you are right now about lifting somebody off the ground with 2 fingers each. I mean, what's more impossible? Lifting Robin in the chair off the ground with 2 fingers each, 4 people, or creating the entire universe and everything in it? Okay. So I'm gonna erase this here. There was something, you could probably pull it up on Google or YouTube or whatever, but there was these scientists that were trying to prove the non-existence of God. We talked about that last week, right? How silly it is to try to prove something doesn't exist. And this one guy, this one believer, he drew a circle and had 4 or 5 very distinguished, I guess they called themselves atheists. And he said to them, if this circle encompasses all the knowledge in the world, everything there is, every type of math thing, what an ant does, how to play poker, everything in the world that you could think of, all the knowledge in the universe. This circle takes up all the knowledge in the universe. He asked these brilliant, high IQ people to come in, and 4 of them there was, and he asked them to put a percentage of how much they know of all the knowledge in the universe. And the most that one of the guys did was about something like this. And the other 3 were less than that. And this is one of the greatest minds in the world. And he was talking about, and he said, this is how much I know about all the knowledge in the whole world. And the guy that was conducting the thing said to him something very simple. And I would have to say, if it were me, I would know about this much, if that much, right? How much knowledge would you know about all the knowledge in the world, languages and ancient things and just everything that ever existed, and just all the knowledge in the universe, the stars and everything, right? I'm probably being real generous with myself there. Okay? But this guy did that. And so the guy putting on the thing, he came up and he said, well, If this is what you know about all the knowledge in the world, then what you're saying is this is what you don't know about all the knowledge in the world. And isn't it possible that God exists in what you don't know? Pretty powerful statement. So I want to bring you back today to, didn't bring the extension. I gotta be careful here, this wire trips. Barry, how do you put this back on? I'm gonna bring you back today. So what I want you to do now, I want you to forget about your pads and your pens and your book and all that stuff. And I'm gonna read you a chapter out of a book. And we used to do it at our clubhouse there every Christmas for years and years and years. I've read this every Christmas. Thank you. The name of the book is The Greatest Miracle in the World. And the chapter that I'm going to read was titled The God Memorandum. It's a real small book. It's about 100 pages, the whole book. If you've never read it, man, it's a great book to read. The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino. Og, O-G, Mandino. The Greatest Miracle in the World. Don't confuse that with The Greatest Salesman in the World. He has that book too. But The Greatest Miracle in the World. So this is one chapter. And what he was trying to do in this chapter is, it's called the God Memorandum. What he was saying is that God wants to send us a message. And he figured in this modern age, in this day and age, the best way to send a message out was to send a memorandum out for everybody. So it's a little bit long. It's a whole chapter I'm going to read, but I just want you to relax, sit back and listen. So I don't know if you know, but God was from the Bronx. So, and since I'm from the Bronx, I'm going to play God today and I'm going to read to you. It's God talking to you. Okay. So listen to God talk to you and see what kind of message you get. So this is a message just to you from God. Take counsel. I hear your cry. It passes through the darkness, filters through the clouds, mingles with starlight, and finds its way to my heart on the path of a sunbeam. I have anguished over the cry of a hare, choked in the noose of a snare, a sparrow tumbled from the nest of its mother, a child thrashing helplessly in a pond, and a son shedding his blood on a cross. Know that I hear you also. Be at peace. Be calm. I bring thee relief for your sorrow, for I know its cause and its cure. You weep for all your childhood dreams that have vanished with the years. You weep for all your self-esteem that has been corrupted by failure. You weep for all your potential that has been bartered for security. You weep for all your talent that has been wasted through misuse. You look upon yourself with disgrace and you turn in terror from the image you see in the pool. Who is this mockery of humanity staring back at you with bloodless eyes of shame? Where is the grace of your manner, the beauty of your figure, the quickness of your movement, the clarity of your mind, the brilliance of your tongue? Who stole your goods? Is the thief's identity known to you as it is to me? Once you placed your head in a pillow of grass in your father's field and looked up at a cathedral of clouds and knew that all the gold of Babylon would be yours in time. Once you read from many books and wrote on many tablets, convinced beyond any doubt that all the wisdom of Solomon would be equaled and surpassed by you. And the seasons would flow into years until lo, you would reign supreme in your own Garden of Eden. Thou remember who implanted those plans and dreams and seeds within you? You cannot. You have no memory of that moment when first you emerged from your mother's womb and I placed my hand on your soft brow, and the secret I whispered in your small ear when I bestowed my blessings upon you. Remember our secret? You cannot. The passing years have destroyed your recollection, for they have filled your mind with fear and doubt and anxiety and remorse and hate, and there is no room for joyful memories where these beasts habitat. Weep no more. I am with you, and this moment is the dividing line of your life. All that has gone before you is like unto no more than that time you slept within your mother's womb. What is past is dead. Let the dead bury the dead. This day you return from the living dead. This day, like unto Elijah with the widow's son, I stretch myself upon thee 3 times and you live again. This day, like unto Elijah with the Shunammite's son, I put my mouth upon your mouth, my eyes upon your eyes, and my hands upon your hands, and your flesh is warm again. This day, like unto Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus, I command you to come forth, and you will walk from your cave of doom to begin a new life. This is your birthday. This is your new date of birth. Your first life, like unto a play of a theater, was only rehearsal. This time the curtain is up. This time the world watches and waits to applaud. This time you will not fail. Light your candles. Share your cake. You have been reborn. Like a butterfly from its chrysalis, you will fly. Fly as high as you wish, and neither the wasps, nor the dragonflies, nor the manatees of mankind shall obstruct your mission or your search for the true riches of life. Feel my hand upon thy head. Attend to my wisdom. Let me share with you again the secret you heard at your birth and forgot. You are my greatest miracle. You are the greatest miracle in the world. Those were the first words you ever heard. Then you cried. They all cry. You did not believe me then, and nothing has happened in the intervening years to correct your disbelief. For how could you be a miracle when you consider yourself a failure at the most menial of tasks? How can you be a miracle when you have little confidence in dealing with the most trivial of responsibilities? How can you be a miracle when you are shackled by debt and lie awake in torment over whence will come tomorrow's bread? Enough. The milk that is spilled is sour. Yet how many prophets, how many wise men, how many poets, how many artists, how many composers, how many scientists, how many philosophers and messengers have I sent with word of your divinity, your potential for godliness, and the secret of achievement? How did you treat them? Still, I love you, and I am with you now through these words to fulfill the prophet who announced that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. I have set my hand again. This is the second time. You are my remnant. It is no avail to ask, haven't you known? Haven't you heard? Hasn't it been told to you from the beginning? Haven't you understood from the foundations of the earth? You have not known. You have not heard. You have not understood. You have been told that you are a divinity in disguise, a God playing a fool. You have been told that you are a special piece of work, noble in reason, infinite in faculties, expressed and admirable in form and moving, like an angel in action, like a God in apprehension. You have been told that you are the salt of the earth. You were given the secret even of moving mountains, of performing the impossible. You believed no one. You burned your map to happiness. You abandoned your claim to peace of mind. You snuffed out the candles that have been placed along your destined path of glory. And then you stumbled, lost and frightened in the darkness of fertility and self-pity until you fell into a hell of your own creation. Then you cried and beat your breast and cursed the luck that had befallen you. You refused to accept the consequences of your own petty thoughts and lazy deeds, and you searched for a scapegoat on which to blame your failure. How quickly you found one. You blamed me. You cried that your handicaps, your mediocrity, your lack of opportunity, your failures were the will of God. You were wrong. Let us take inventory. Let us first call a roll of your handicaps. For how can I ask you to build a new life, least you have the tools? Are you blind? Does the sun rise and fall without your witness? No, you can see. And the 100 million receptors I've placed in your eyes enable you to enjoy the magic of a leaf, a snowflake, a pond, an eagle, a child, a cloud, a star, a rose, a rainbow, and the look of love. Count one blessing. Are you deaf? Can a baby laugh or cry without your attention? No. You can hear, and the 24,000 fibers I have built in each of your ears vibrate to the wind in the trees, the tides on the rocks, the majesty of an opera, a robin's plea, children at play, and the words, I love you. Count another blessing. Are you mute? Do your lips move and bring forth only spittle? No. You can speak, as can no other of my creatures. And your words can calm the angry, uplift the despondent, goad the quitter, cheer the unhappy, warm the lonely, praise the worthy, encourage the defeated, teach the ignorant, and say, I love you. Count another blessing. Are you paralyzed? Does your helpless form despoil the land? No, you can move. You are not a tree condemned to a small plot while the wind in the world abuses you. You can stretch and run and dance and work, for within you I have designed 500 muscles, 200 bones, and 7 miles of nerve fiber, all synchronized by me to do your bidding. Count another blessing. Are you unloved and unloving? Does loneliness engulf you night and day? No, no more. For now you know love's secret, that to receive love, it must be given with no thought of its return. To love for fulfillment, satisfaction, or pride is no love. Love is a gift on which no return is demanded. Now you know that to love unselfishly is its own reward. And even should love not be returned, it is not lost. For love not reciprocated will flow back to you and soften and purify your heart. Count another blessing. Count twice. Is your heart stricken? Does it leak and strain to maintain your life? No. Your heart is strong. Touch your chest and feel its rhythm, pulsating hour after hour, day and night. 36 million beats each year, year after year, asleep or awake, pumping your blood through more than 60,000 miles of veins, arteries, and tubing, pumping more than 600,000 gallons each year. Man has never created such a machine. Count another blessing. Are you diseased of skin? Do people turn in horror when you approach? No. Your skin is clear and a marvel of creation, needing only that you tend it with soap and oil and brush and care. In time, all steels will tarnish and rust, but not your skin. Eventually, the strongest of metals will wear with use, but not that layer I've constructed around you. Constantly, it renews itself. Old cells replaced by new, just as the old you is now replaced by the new. Count another blessing. Are your lungs befouled? Does your breath of life struggle to enter your body? No, your portals of life support you even in the vilest of environments of your own making, and they labor always to filter life-giving oxygen through 600 million pockets of folded flesh while they rid your body of gaseous waste. Count another blessing. Is your blood poisoned? Is it diluted with water and pus? No. Within your 5 quarts of blood are 22 trillion blood cells. And within each cell are millions of molecules. And within each molecule is an atom oscillating at more than 10 million times each second. Each second, 2 million of your blood cells die to be replaced by 2 million more in a resurrection that has continued since your first birth. As it has always been inside, so now is on your outside. Count another blessing. Are you feeble of mind? Can you no longer think for yourself? No. Your brain is the most complex structure in the universe. I know. Within its 3 pounds are 13 billion nerve cells, more than 3 times as many cells as there are people on your earth. To help you file away every perception, every sound, every taste, every smell, every action you have experienced since the day of your birth, I have implanted within your cells more than 1,000 billion protein molecules. Every incident in your life is there waiting only your recall. And to assist your brain in the control of your body, I have dispersed throughout your form 4 million pain-sensitive structures, 500,000 touch detectors, and more than 200,000 temperature detectors. No nation's gold is better protected than you. None of your ancient wonders are greater than you. You are my finest creation. Within you is enough atomic energy to destroy any of the world's great cities and rebuild it. Are you poor? Is there no gold or silver in your purse? No, you are rich. Together, we have just counted your wealth. Study the list. Count them again. Tally your assets. Why have you betrayed yourself? Why have you cried all the blessings of humanity were removed from you? Why did you deceive yourself that you were powerless to change your life? Are you without talent, senses, abilities, pleasures, instincts, sensations, and pride? Are you without hope? Why do you cringe in the shadows, a giant defeated, awaiting only sympathetic transport into the welcome void and dampness of hell? You have so much. Your blessings overflow your cup. and you have been unmindful of them, like a child spoiled in luxury, since I have bestowed them upon you with generosity and regularity. Answer me. Answer yourself. What rich man, old and sick, feeble and helpless, would not exchange all the gold in his vault for the blessings you have treated so lightly? Know then the first secret to happiness and success that you possess even now, every blessing necessary to achieve great glory. They are your treasure, your tools with which to build, starting today, the foundation for a new and better life. Therefore, I say unto you, count your blessings and know that you already are my greatest creation. This is the first law you must obey in order to perform the greatest miracle in the world, the return of humanity from living death. And be grateful for your lessons learned in poverty. For he is not poor who has little, only he that desires much. And true security lies not in the things one has, but in the things one can do without. Where are the handicaps that produced your failure? They existed only in your mind. Count your blessings. And the second law, like unto the first, proclaim your rarity. You had condemned yourself to a potter's field, and there you lay, unable to forgive your own failure, destroying yourself with self-hate, self-incrimination, and revulsion at your crimes against yourself and others. Are you not perplexed? Do you not wonder why I am able to forgive your failures, your transgressions, your pitiful demeanor, when you cannot forgive yourself? I address you now for 3 reasons. You need me. You are not one of a herd heading for destruction in a gray mass of mediocrity, and you are a great rarity. Consider a painting by Rembrandt, or a bronze by Degas, or a violin by Stradivarius, or a play by Shakespeare. They have great value for 2 reasons. Their creators were masters, and they are few in number. Yet, there are more than one of each of these. On that reasoning, you are the most valuable treasure on the face of earth, for you know who created you, and there is only one of you. Never in all the 70 billion humans who have walked this planet since the beginning of time has there ever been anyone exactly like you. Never until the end of time will there be another such as you. You have shown no knowledge or appreciation of your uniqueness, yet you are the rarest thing in the world. From your father, in his moment of supreme love, flowed countless seas of love, more than 400 million in number. All of them, as they swam within your mother, gave up the ghost and died. All except one, you. You alone persevered within the loving warmth of your mother's body, searching for the other half, a single cell from your mother, so small that more than 2 million would be necessary to fill an acorn shell. Yet, despite impossible odds in that vast ocean of darkness and disaster, you persevered, found that cell, joined with it, and began a new life. Your life. You arrived, bringing with you, as does every child, the message that I was not yet discouraged of man. 2 cells now united in a miracle. 2 cells each containing 23 chromosomes, and within each chromosome, hundreds of genes, which would govern every characteristic about you, from the color of your eyes to the charm of your manner to the size of your brain. With all the combinations at my command, beginning with that single sperm from your father's 400 million, through the hundreds of genes in each of the chromosomes from your mother and father, I could have created 300,000 billion humans, each different from the other. But who did I bring forth? You, one of a kind, rarest of the rare, a priceless treasure, possessed of qualities in mind and speech and movement and appearance and actions as no other who has ever lived, lives, or shall live. Why have you valued yourself in pennies when you're worth a king's ransom? Why did you listen to those who demeaned you, and far worse, why did you believe them? Take counsel. No longer hide your rarity in the dark. Bring it forth. Show the world. Strive not to walk as your brother walks, nor talk as your leader talks, nor labor as do the mediocre. Never do as another. Never imitate. For how do you know that you may not imitate evil? And he who imitates evil always goes beyond the example set, while he who imitates what is good always falls short. Imitate no one. Be yourself. Show your rarity to the world, and they will shower you with gold. This then is the second law. Proclaim your rarity. And now you have received 2 laws. Count your blessings, proclaim your rarity. You have no handicaps. You are not mediocre. You nod, you force a smile. You admit your self-deception. What of your next complaint? Opportunity never seeks thee? Take counsel and it will come to pass. For now I will give you the law of success in every venture. Many centuries ago, this law was given to your forefathers from a mountaintop. Some heeded the law, and lo, their lives were filled with the fruit of happiness, accomplishment, gold, and peace of mind. Most listened not, for they sought magic means, devious routes, and waited for the devil called luck to deliver them to the riches of life. They waited in vain, just as you waited, and then they wept, blaming their lack of fortune on me. The law is simple. Young or old, pauper or king, white or black, male or female, all can use the secret to their advantage. For of all the rules and speeches in scripture of success and how to obtain it, only one method has never failed. Whomsoever shall compel ye to go with him 1 mile, go with him another. This then is the third law, the secret that will produce riches and acclaim beyond your dreams. Go another mile. The only certain means of success is to render more and better service than is expected of you, no matter what your task may be. This is a habit followed by all successful people since the beginning of time. Therefore, I say the surest way to doom yourself to mediocrity is to perform only the work for which you are paid. Think not ye are being cheated if you deliver more than the silver you receive. For there is a pendulum to all life, and the sweat you deliver, if not rewarded today, will swing back tomorrow tenfold. The mediocre never goes another mile, for why should he cheat himself, he thinks. But you are not mediocre. To go another mile is a privilege you must appropriate by your own initiative. You cannot, you must not avoid it. Neglect it, do only as little as the others, and the responsibility for your failing is yours alone. You can no more render service without receiving just compensation than you can withhold the rendering of it without suffering the loss of reward. Cause and effect, means and ends, seed and fruit, these cannot be separated. The effect already blooms in the cause, the end pre-exists in the means, and the fruit is always in the seed. Go another mile. Concern yourself not should you serve an ungrateful master. Serve him more. And instead of him, let it be me who is in your debt. For then you will know that every minute, every stroke of extra service will be repaid. And worry not should your reward not come soon. For the longer payment is withheld, the better for you. And compound interest on compound interest is this law's greatest benefit. You cannot command success. You can only deserve it. And now you know the great secret necessary in order to merit its rare reward. Go another mile. Where is the field whence you cried there's no opportunity? Look around thee. See, where only yesterday you wallowed on the refuse of self-pity, you now walk on a carpet of gold. Nothing has changed except you, but you are everything. You are my greatest miracle. You are the greatest miracle in the world. And now the laws of happiness and success are 3. Count your blessings, proclaim your rarity, go another mile. Be patient with your progress, to count your blessings with gratitude, to proclaim your rarity with pride, to go an extra mile and then another. These acts are not accomplished in the blinking of an eye. Yet, that which you acquire most difficulty, you retain the longest, as those who have earned a fortune are more careful of it than those by whom it was inherited. And fear not as you enter your new life. Every noble acquisition is intended with its risk. He who fears to encounter the one must not expect to obtain the other. Now you know you are a miracle, and there is no fear in a miracle. Be proud. You are not the momentary whim of a careless creator experimenting in the laboratory of life. You are not a slave of forces you cannot comprehend. You are a free manifestation of no force but mine, of no love but mine. You were made with a purpose. Feel my hand, hear my words. You need me, and I need you. We have a world to rebuild. And if that requires a miracle, what is that to us? We are both miracles, and now we have each other. Never have I lost faith in you since that day when I first spun you from a giant wave and tossed you helplessly on the sands. As you measure time, that was more than 500 million years ago. There were many models, many shapes, many sizes before I reached perfection in you more than 30,000 years ago. I have made no further effort to improve on you in all these years. For how can one improve on a miracle? You were a marvel to behold, and I was pleased. I gave you the world and dominion over it. Then, to enable you to reach your full potential, I placed my hand upon you once more and endowed you with powers unknown to any other creature in the universe, even on to this day. I gave you the power to think, I gave you the power to love. I gave you the power to will. I gave you the power to laugh. I gave you the power to imagine. I gave you the power to create. I gave you the power to speak. I gave you the power to plan. I gave you the power to pray. I gave you the power to heal. My pride in you knew no bounds. You were my ultimate creation, my greatest miracle, a complete living being, one who can adjust to any climate, any hardships, any challenge, one who could manage his own destiny without any interference from me, one who can translate a sensation or perception, not by instinct, but by thought and deliberation into whatever action is best for himself and all humanity. Thus we come to the fourth law of success and happiness, for I gave you one more power, a power so great that not even my angels possess it. I gave you the power to choose. With this gift, I placed you even above my angels, for angels are not free to choose sin. I gave you complete control of your destiny. I told you to determine for yourself your own nature in accordance with your own free will. Neither heavenly nor earthly in nature, you were free to fashion yourself in whatever form you preferred. You had the power to choose to degenerate into the lowest forms of life, but you also had the power, out of your soul's judgment, to be reborn into the higher forms, which are divine. I have never withdrawn your great power, the power to choose. Excuse me. What have you done with this tremendous force? Look at yourself. Think of the choices you have made in your life and recall now those bitter moments when you would fall to your knees if only you had the opportunity to choose again. What is past is past. And now you can know the fourth great law of happiness and success. Use wisely your power of choice. Choose to love rather than hate. Choose to laugh rather than cry. Choose to create rather than destroy. Choose to persevere rather than quit. Choose to praise rather than gossip. Choose to heal rather than wound. Choose to give rather than steal. Choose to act rather than procrastinate. Choose to grow rather than rot. Choose to pray rather than curse. Choose to live rather than die. Now you know that your misfortunes were not my will, for all power was vested in you, and the accumulation of deeds and thoughts which placed you on the refuse of humanity were your doing, not mine. My gifts of power were too large for your small nature. Now you have grown tall and wise, and the fruits of the land will be yours. You are more than a human being. You are a human becoming. You are capable of great wonders. Your potential is unlimited. Who else among my creatures has mastered fire? Who else among my creatures has conquered gravity, has pierced the heavens, has conquered disease and pestilence and drought? Never again demean yourself. Never settle for the crumbs of life. Never hide your talents from this day hence. Remember the child who says, when I'm a big boy. But what is that? For the big boy says, when I grow up. And then grown up, he says, when I am wed. But what to be wed? What is that after all? The thought then changes to when I retire. And then retirement comes and he looks back over it and somehow he has missed it all and it's gone. Enjoy this day today and tomorrow. You have performed the greatest miracle in the world. You have returned from a living death. You will feel self-pity no more, and each new day will be a challenge and a joy. You have been born again. But just as before, you can choose failure and despair or success and happiness. The choice is yours. The choice is exclusively yours. I can only watch as before, in pride or sorrow. Remember then the four laws of happiness and success. Count your blessings. Proclaim your rarity. Go another mile. Use wisely your power of choice. And one more to fulfill the other four. Do all things with love. Love for yourself, love for all others, and love for me. Wipe away your tears. Reach out and grasp my hand and stand straight. Let me cut the grave cloths that have bound you. This day you have been notified. You are the greatest miracle in the world. Sorry about that. I had my COVID shot a couple of weeks ago, and ever since then, my nose don't stop running. It's crazy. I don't know what that's about. But, all right. So the reason I like to read that is just some people may really be struggling with God, and they don't appreciate their value. They don't appreciate how valuable you really are. I told you that the first week we were here, if anybody remembers that. Remember what I said to you the first week you were here? We were reading we read the doctor's opinion and we read that the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Remember that? And I said to you that word is important because it's not true. You're not hopeless. It just seems that way. I told you that day one. And I'm going to continue to tell you that in different ways as we go along. Because there's a powerful, great creator in the world. And look at all the things he bestowed in you. I never knew that I had all those things in my ear and my eyes and all that stuff. I just thought that's in my ear. Well, very powerful to understand just what it is, what kind of creation I am and you are. And how much work God put into us. And that we're perfect. We're perfect just the way we are. Has anybody ever read that before, heard that before? Yeah. The rest of you guys, you should get the book. It's a really good book. Greatest Miracle in the World, Og Mandino. All right. So we still got some time. Anybody want to talk about anything? Anybody feel the need to share about something that the story hit them with?
What were the 2 and 3? Count your blessing.
Proclaim your rarity. Go another mile. And use wisely your power of choice. Okay. All right, so we're on page 45. I think we left off our human resources as marshaled by the will were not sufficient. They failed utterly. So here it says on page 45, lack of power. That was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves. Obviously, but where and how are we to find this power? And I already told you that last sentence this is where the search for God begins in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Right there with that sentence. But where and how are we to find this power? So the search begins right here. So have you heard that saying before? Knowledge is power. We've all heard that. It's an old saying, right? Knowledge is power. We think we've got some power when we get here. And then we get to this chapter and we find out that this chapter is actually about what? Agnostic? Lack knowledge. Right? So if I lack knowledge, I lack power. The problem is we don't believe we lack power. And we operate like we have some power, but we don't have the knowledge. It's kind of a catch-22. But we had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves. So there's the requirement, the first requirement for a God in this book. Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. Now, when you get here, you may think alcohol or drugs is your problem. We find out as we go through the book that alcohol or drugs is just a symptom of the problem. That means we have written a book which we believe is to be spiritual as well as moral. And it means, of course, we're going to talk about God. Now, I don't know, but I think I shared with you that. Did I? I don't know if I shared with you that. I'm also a recovering Roman Catholic, so I was brought up that, God is in heaven, right? And so when I got sober, it was very difficult for me to make a connection and get in touch with somebody way up there. But the big book we're going to learn in this chapter says, Alcoholics Anonymous says that God is inside of me. and just as much as real as a friend. We're going to read that in a few pages, right? So God is a part of me. So I can get on board with that, right? If God's a part of me, if God's in me, right? So then it's not something way up there that I have to worry about getting in touch with. It's right here with me. I just got to get in touch with it. So the question that when we're done with reading and studying the we agnostics, I'm going to give you an exercise to do, kind of like I did in the first step. And I'm going to give you a prayer to use with that exercise. And I call that prayer the fake it till you make it prayer. Great prayer. And I have worked with hundreds of people over the years doing this. And I promise you, I've not once has anybody ever come back to me and said it didn't work. Not one person has ever come back to me and said it didn't work. Now, some people took longer than others. But the whole purpose of this chapter is to understand what you think and believe about God. That's a necessity. You have to look at what you think and believe about God. There's no way you could turn your will and your life over in the next step without understanding God. Now, let me take that back. I don't understand God, even today. But I have an understanding of God that works really well for me. Okay? So you don't have to understand God, but you have to have an understanding of God that works for you. Okay? And the only way we can do it is, what is it we think and believe about God? We have to find that out. That's going to be our exercise at the end of this chapter. Okay. So let's talk for, you might want to write this down. I want to give you 4 obstacles that block you from God. Okay, these are 4 obstacles that block me from God. Okay. Number one, someone I will not forgive. Someone I will not forgive. Again, these are 4 obstacles that block me from God. Number 1, someone I will not forgive. Number 2, a restitution I will not make. Number 2, a restitution I will not make. Number 3, a secret I will not confess. A secret I will not confess. And number 4, this is the one that gets me even today. A dubious pleasure I will not forego. Oh, I hate that one. A dubious pleasure I will not forego. And don't shout out what your dubious pleasures are. These 4 things will, without a doubt, 100% block you from God. These are 4 obstacles that block you from God. Someone I will not forgive, a restitution I will not make, a secret I will not confess, and a dubious pleasure I will not forego. See, we believe things on an emotional level rather than an intellectual level. Especially alcoholics and addicts, where you take emotions, right, and multiply them. And so this is what, I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but have you guys seen this before? E over I. So E over I is emotion over intellect. This is how we are all born. We're all born with emotion over intellect. Thanks, Jerry. And as we grow up in our adolescence, in our preteen years, we start getting information, right? We start learning things and getting information, and it should go kind of like this by the time we're teenagers. It should go, I'm still more emotional than intellectual. And by the time we get to be adults, it should be an even mix of emotion and intellect. But that's not so with people like us. People like us are not, we're not very well balanced when it comes to emotion and intellect. We still operate and believe things on an emotional level rather than an intellectual level. That, my friends, is a flaw in your makeup. That is a defect of character. That is something we're going to learn how to look at later on and fix. But we definitely need to understand that this is how we operate. I mean, I was 32 years old when I got sober. If I didn't get my way, I could have just laid on the floor on my back and kicked my arms and my feet up in the air and screamed out some things, right? Like a child, because that's how emotionally mature I was. That's how intellectually mature I was. Not very. So these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. Okay. So step 2 is asking us to believe that we have a chance of staying sober, provided we're willing to enlist the help of a power greater than ourselves. And you know what? We're kind of at a point where let me just see if there's any questions or anybody wants to talk about something. Anybody got a question on step 2? Because we only got like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and I don't want to get into this next thing because I want to have time to go over it with you next
So you're
week.
saying that your emotions should be equal to your intellect, and if it's not, it's a defect of character.
Well, yeah, this is the way a normal person that has, that can deal with life. Like, I don't know if you've ever sat in my relationship workshop. Have you ever sat in my? No. Well, you should listen to the tape. And what I talk about in there is getting into a relationship with a normal person, right? A normie. Well, this is how a normal person deals with life. And this is more like I'm somewhere between here, right? So what I say in that workshop, when I do that workshop, it's like a math thing, right? Sick plus sick equals sicker. You have 2 sick people in a relationship. Sick plus sick equals sicker. Sick plus healthy equals sick. Okay? The only way you can have a healthy relationship is have 2 healthy people, and then you have a chance. Healthy plus healthy equals a chance. Sick plus healthy is sick, and sick plus sick is sicker. That's my relationship thing with you. But this, because normal people know how to deal with life. They engage their brain. When a normal person getting into a relationship, and how they've been brought up in their morals and their values and their beliefs, they engage their brain. They look at the person that they're talking to. Does this person seem sane? And they have a mixture of emotion and intellect, and they go forward with their eyes wide open, knowing what they're doing. And a healthy person knows how to get out of a relationship, and people like us don't. We're the worst to get out of a relationship, people. I don't get into that workshop, but maybe some other day we'll do that. Yes.
Danny, the 4 obstacles from God.
The 4 obstacles.
Did you take that from the big book? Or are those Danny's?
They're not Dannyisms. I don't remember. I've been using them for so many years. I don't remember who I stole them from.
But you stole.
I stole them from somebody. Yeah. They block us from God. They're obstacles. They're 4 obstacles that block us from God. All right. Hey, listen, I don't normally do this, but I was supposed to do a convention in Indiana in June, and they canceled the convention, and they were the tape guy was gonna sell my books there, and so I ordered 24 books for him, and now they canceled the convention. So at home, I got a box of 24 of my books. They're $14 online. I'll sell them here for 12 and give $2 to the May Club if you want. I'll bring them next week.
Yeah, bring them next.
But I want to tell you that this doesn't tell you how to work the steps. We use the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, how to work the steps. This is called the 20 most misunderstood, misinterpreted mistakes of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It tells you how not to work the steps. So, and it's real quick reading, only a couple of pages. But I don't normally ever do that, but I'm sitting with 24 books that they had me order, and now the convention's canceled. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week, guys. I appreciate it. Same time,
Brittany,
same channel next week.
alcoholic.
Huh?
Hey, so I mean, what exactly is the fake it till you make it prayer and the
Oh, we'll
homework,
get
man?
into that. We didn't go over that one yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right.
Okay,
Johnny,
thank
good to
you.
see you
Have a
there,
good
Johnny.
night.
Thank you, Danny. Have a good weekend.
Tom, good to see you. Dan, so long,
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Michael,
Danny,
Jim.
good to see you.
Kim. All right. See you guys.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, Jim. Jim, no matter what, Jim, let's me and you keep coming back.